Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of StoryView.me, where success is in the story. We love stories, and we're gonna love this guy's story. He's actually the host of something called Music City 411, which is like the place to go for everything music, in particular country. This guy's also a two-time Emmy Award-winning television host. So we're super excited to have him. He's also, you've probably seen him on Extra TV with Mario Lopez, because he's the go-to guy in the country music scene down in Nashville for Extra. So we're super excited to have Shane Tallant.
Hey, what's going on? Gotta love technology.
Right. So for the folks that aren't familiar with country music or with yourself, give a little bit of a short blurb, an elevator type of sales pitch of who you are, I guess.
Well, I think a lot of people would recognize me from HGTV's Design to Sell. That
Right.
was probably my biggest gig that I started doing in 2006, and I ended up doing 7 seasons of Design to Sell as the host in Washington, D.C. And following that, I took a gig or a job as a morning talk show host here in Nashville back in December of last year. And it's a live, 5 to 9 a.m. talk show that it's on the Fox affiliate. And I did that for 10 months, so from December to October of 2010. And I ended up leaving the show. They changed formats, and I didn't like getting up at 2 in the morning anymore either.
Wow.
So I changed paths a little bit, and I decided to start my own thing, which I think you can relate to because you do a lot of web-based stuff and social media and things like that. A web show called Music City 411, and what that is it's all country music based. However, we do update if there's something breaking news, like we had some floods last year, things like that. Anything that's major that happens in Nashville. It's a short form web-based show that that I host, produce, write, and I have a young guy that shoots and edits it for me. And it's basically just country music artists with interviews, some performances, and then news updates as to what's happening in country music, specifically here in Nashville.
Awesome. When I think of you, and for everybody that's watching, I think of Shane as the Ryan Seacrest of country music. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's able to interview so many people. He's actually interviewed so many A-list Hollywood stars in his career that it's been awesome. So the launching of Music City 101 is actually going to be another milestone, another bigger step in your career, and you really are going to be that Ryan Seacrest of of country music. So that's awesome.
It's so funny you say that because throughout my career, I've done like you mentioned, I've done a lot of entertainment reporting and hosting, and been on the red carpets all over the world,
Right.
and it's funny because I don't see myself as any different than Ryan Seacrest or other than my bank account.
That'll change here shortly. Yeah, that'll change here shortly.
And I've now come to grips with the fact that I'll probably work for Ryan before working in front of him at this point, which I'm fine with.
Right,
I'm
right.
cool with that. But it's funny you say that because I've been compared to him quite a bit, and now I've said that in recent pitch meetings. I've said, hey, I think country music needs a male staple as far as a host or a television personality that anyone goes to and turns to when it comes to, we need someone for country music content. Who do we turn to? Well, I'm trying to make that me. And I wasn't going to sit around and wait for someone to bring that to me. I'm going to try to force their hand and force the industry's hand into, hey, I know I'm a good host. I've been doing it a long time. I have a great support team here in Nashville, and I'm just doing it on my own, which I'm having a lot of fun with because I create my own schedule. And just in starting Music City 411, just something I just literally started doing just like this. I fired up my MacBook and started talking about it and recording it, and I posted on YouTube, and it started getting hits. And I think it helped that people instead of waiting for someone to bring it to me, I just started creating content and doing it, and no one can take that away from me. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, and that's what I tell young people all the time. I get, you know, emails, and I talk to students, and I just say, just do something. Whether it's, you know, you know, start a web show, or whether it's write a blog, or whether it is whatever your interest is, just do it. And so you're now collecting content and creating, you know, a niche for yourself.
Right.
Where it's experience. You know, so many young kids say, well, how am I going to get a job if it says you must have experience? How do I get my first job? Well, nowadays, with the use of the internet and, you know, RSS feeds and blogs and Twitter and Facebook, it's all there and it's free, and no one can take that content, and you're gaining experience on your own.
Right. Right.
So what have you done? You say, well, I've written a blog for the last 8 months, and, you know, I have 2,500 followers on Twitter, and I have a fan page on Facebook. I'm fortunate enough that I've had a career that kind of allows that to make sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm past that point of handing in a resume.
Right.
But you know, I'm still creating content because I want to become that male figure in country music hosting. And just by doing 411, you know, Extra called.
Yeah.
And now I'm their country correspondent Extra. So it was kind of like, hey, something came of it.
Yeah. I think that's in today's economy, it's all about that online resume. I know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a big social media dude, talks about that a lot. It's like, you know, no longer do you have to hand in your resume, but you have to actually show it online, because when they see your resume, what are they going to do? They're going to go and Facebook you. They're going to Google you, and what are they going to see? Are they going to see other people talking about you, or are they going to see that innovative person that's going out there? So great message for the young people, absolutely.
Can you hear my dog barking?
Kind of, yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna go let him in so he stops barking.
Okay, good. Yeah, we can talk to him too.
We can keep talking. I'm gonna give him a treat too.
Oh, good. Okay. So for those of you, because we try to keep it live, right? For those of you that are still watching, still tuning in, I met Shane through Chris Barnwell. He was the guy he was the Major League Baseball player that was on the show as well, and he's really good friends with Shane. And Shane is going to share a little bit about his journey, and it sounds like it started at Flagler, where you guys went to school together with
thank
Barney.
you for being patient with me. My dog's a pain in the butt. Yeah, Chris and I really played. You know, I really wanted to. My career was supposed to be a baseball player, and
wow, okay.
I realized I couldn't hit a curveball, so I had to scramble and do something else.
Yeah.
No, but Chris is a good friend of mine. I know you had him on the show here. He's got a great story too. You know, small school, low round draft pick, or a high round draft pick actually. You know, 25th round I think he was picked, and he made it to the major leagues. And so he played up there. He didn't realize it, but he played in the major leagues for more than just him. He played for all of us that played with him that didn't get a chance to go there. And I flew out there, and I was there for his first major league hit in Milwaukee.
Wow, awesome.
He didn't know I was going to be there, but luckily I had the ability to scoot away and make it up to Milwaukee for his and see his first major league hit. So it was pretty cool. He's a great guy. And it's funny because we stay in touch and share stories, and he helps me with things, and I help him with things because you know, we've taken two completely different paths, but we've been fortunate enough to have some success, and we have not only our friendship in common, but we have our careers in common in where, you know, we get involved in charities, and, you know, he'll call me and ask me, hey, I need some autographed, you know, memorabilia, or, hey, you know, can you get me something from XYZ artist, you know, whatever it is, and vice versa. You know, I've leaned on him for some favors too. So it works out, and it's good to kind of keep those relationships fresh and updated because you never know how they're going to come back to help you.
Right. And you did a little bit of baseball in college, and you did you started your communications education there, and then everything just kind of, is that where your interest in entertainment sparked, or did it start a little bit sooner?
Yeah, I mean, I was never shy. I was always the first one to sign up for the talent show, and it wasn't just because it was my
Awesome.
No, I really did want to be a baseball player. I played all through college on a scholarship, so it was nice to have my schooling paid for.
Right.
But I kind of got burnt out in baseball, and I really wasn't good enough. I mean, I could have been drafted, but I had a shoulder injury, and but I had an internship my senior year of college, and at a WB affiliate before the WB was defunct. And I believe it or not, I was the WB Frog, Michigan J Frog. I was the mascot.
Wow, wow,
The big
wow.
frog that jumped around. And I just, I spent 6 months doing that and getting myself ingrained in a television station and learning how it works and what TV has to offer. And then, I think I was lucky enough that I had a little bit of ability, and I think I had a look that some people were looking for. And they put me in front of the camera. I mean, I've done everything. I've edited. I've been a shooter. I've been a producer. I've been a writer, and then of course in front of the camera. So I've run the gamut, and I've worked my way through the system. But it took a long time. I mean, my first job was in 1999 at the Fox affiliate in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was making $16,000 a year.
Wow.
So that's how you start out in TV.
Yeah. Now, was there ever thought of having a manager or a mentor to walk you through and to get you through particular doors, or did you consider yourself, because you had to learn everything, so did you consider yourself, I'll learn that piece too on how to manage my career, switch the hat and take meetings and look a certain way, or how did that work for you?
It's my career's been kind of interesting because I've been fortunate. I've been in the right place at the right times several times, but I've also been, what you would consider a self-starter. I like I said, even with this Music City 411, I don't have to do that show. I mean, it's not for the money. In fact, I'm not even making money on it right at this point. But it's really because I just do, and I create things and I make things happen, and I don't burn bridges, or I haven't burned bridges. And I was on a reality show a long time ago in 2005 on the Oxygen Network called Making It Big. And it was an opportunity for one of the contestants, there was 3 of us, the winner of this show received a big break opportunity. And I went up there with the mentality of I'm just going to go full throttle. I don't really care. I'm just going to make good TV. But do it in a professional way. So I went through the show and, of course, was eliminated because I rocked the boat a little too hard. But in doing that show, I met a guy named Barry Adelman, who is Dick Clark's right-hand man. He writes all of the award shows, the music award shows. He's a big-time executive producer for Dick Clark Productions. Well, he was one of the judges on the show. And following my departure from the show, we were actually in the men's restroom, and they had taken my microphone off, because as soon as you got on the set, they put microphones on you, and it's easy to forget that you have them on.
Right.
Well, I had been eliminated from the show. We were taking a break. They were changing the set and everything. And Barry said to me, he said, "Hey, are you still mic'd up?" And I said, "No, they took the microphone from me. I already did my exit interview." And he said, "You know why you didn't win?" Now, we're literally standing next to each other at stalls. He said, "You know why you didn't win?" And I said, "Well, I think maybe it was a little too controversial." He said, "No." He said, "You didn't need it." He said, "You've got a good head on your shoulders." He said, "But all I can tell you is that you will be as big as Seacrest or bigger." This was in 2005. "If you continue to be the likable one." And I said to him, I said, "What does that mean exactly?" He said, "There are 1 million TV hosts just like you in Los Angeles, in New York, all over the world." He said, "But not all of them are likable." He said, "Always continue to be likable, can be professional, and do what you know how to do, and that will carry you through the tough times in this business, because you're going to be told no a lot of times." And so that piece of advice is something that I put in my back pocket, and I've kept that with me for the last 6 or 7 years. And I turn to that whenever I think, or I get frustrated, or I get upset about something. I say, just be the likable one, because it always seems to be the one that rises to the top at the end of the day.
What does can you give an example or some bullet points on what a likable trait would be?
Well, I think in this industry, I mean, you know, I've had some pretty cool gigs. So I was the host of Design to Sell on HGTV, which is a huge cable network.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I didn't ask for a trailer or a makeup artist or, someone to rub my, give me a manicure while I'm waiting to do the next scene. Little things like that. But
Okay.
also, get involved. Don't just sit around and wait for them to hand you the script and then go do your scene.
Right.
I mean, or, that kind of thing. And also, in meetings, don't be demanding. Don't be, a whiner. Don't be unappreciative. I think that's a big.
Good, right.
I'm really lucky to have interviewed Angelina Jolie, have been the host of the #1 show on HGTV, now to be a correspondent on Extra. I mean, I interviewed Justin Bieber 10 days ago. It's like,
sweet.
people have a lot more on their plate than I do, and they're dealing with a lot more, just the military families alone. I mean, what they're going through. So I always think about those things and say, really, there's really no reason to complain. There's really no reason to, be upset over a meeting didn't go well. I just said, okay, the next one will go better. Or, hey, if you don't enjoy working with me, I'd be happy to recommend someone that you might be more willing to work with. Whatever it is, I've always kind of maintained that. And I think it comes around to help you in the long run.
Right, and that's something that takes work. Having patience, having an appreciative nature, and seeing life through those lenses. Because it's more easier to get mad and to pout and to complain. So it does take some work, and that's good. That's huge.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. And, it is part of my upbringing. I credit my parents for, instilling that kind-natured personality. Yeah, I wouldn't have that without them, because that's what I knew from them. They've been married for 46 years, and if my dad or my mom ever heard that, I stormed out of my dressing room because, they didn't have the right colors, M&Ms in the bowl.
Right.
I mean, my dad would put me up against the wall and say, "Are you crazy? That's not you." So I just don't have that chip. It's in fact, my agent at times has said to me, he said, "Are you sure you're okay with flying commercial?" Or I said, "What? Yeah, I'm okay with that." Or, and coach, I don't care if I fly first class. Someone paying for my plane ticket to fly to Los Angeles, I don't care if I'm on the wing. As long as I don't have to pay.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I don't have that chip to be demanding or complain or or be unappreciative, because I'm excited about everything I get to do.
Yeah. I think that's a key takeaway for young people and anybody watching is to be grateful for any really opportunity that you have. So good. You mentioned the agent. When in your career did you start thinking about getting an agent, or did an agent approach you, or how did that process work for you?
Well, in the TV business, there is a time when you, like that first job I had in Jacksonville, I didn't need an agent because I couldn't afford to give him 10% of nothing. There's a point, it kind of just happens. I mean, agents do contact hosts or producers or writers. I mean, but it really is, once you get to that point where you have a pretty decent demo reel, or you've done some things that some accolades, that people may have seen or heard about, it's smart I think, to have someone to represent you, because there's a lot of fine print, and he or she becomes a buffer. So I can still maintain that likable personality, and you don't have to get involved in the negotiation process, because that could sometimes it gets a little hairy, and you're talking money, and sometimes you're talking big money. So it's not really the smartest move at times, but to negotiate a big deal on my own, because I could get steamrolled because I don't know any better. And I'd be like, well, okay, that sounds good to me. And people could take you for a ride.
Right.
So when it comes to that, when it comes to the bigger contracts, things like that, and they have the outreach. I don't know of everything that's going on. My agent is in the know of, what casting is happening, or what network is looking for what host for what show. So that's where it's beneficial for me because they know more than I do. But I still do broker a lot of smaller deals, just one-on-one, because I think a lot of times smaller, whether it's I'm speaking at a home show, you know, and it's a $5,000 contract. It's a weekend. It's pretty easy. I've done a lot of them. I know that all I need is a flight, a hotel room, buy my lunch, and then I speak twice a day. It's simple. So I just broker those deals directly to avoid having to pay the commission to the agent. But anything that's really a job, that's a salary, that's consistent, it typically goes through my agent. But it seems like a big deal. It seems like, Vinny Chase and Ari Gold from Entourage. It's really not like that. I mean, it's not. My agent doesn't show up here at my house in a $2,000 suit, high-fiving me, taking me to the Palm for lunch, and then saying, throwing, all these offers on my desk. No, it doesn't happen that way. It's just when something does come up, they handle it. They're the liaison between the communication. But yeah, I mean, it's really, and I think, Chris, I'm sure told you about his agent if you got into that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a sports agent is the same thing. They handle the phone calls that come in and they say, well, my client, let me talk to my client. And then they call me and then they say, are you interested in this? And if I say yes, then they call him back and say he's interested, and then we meet. So it's, and then they take 10%.
Right. A manager functions different from an agent in that managers are a little more proactive in pursuing other opportunities, right?
Yeah, a manager would sometimes, in television or in the, even the music business is what they call like a day-to-day.
Yeah.
And that's someone that's with you all the time, or a phone call away at any time. Appearance, or if you need tickets to something, or and it's also like managing if you have your schedule. So you've got a press interview like this, during the day, and then we've got, I've got a dinner at 7 o'clock, a charity event, and then, we have a flight tomorrow at 9 a.m. Like they just kind of manage you as far as your day-to-day schedule, and it kind of works. Some publicity, but mostly a manager just kind of takes that load and that responsibility and that stress and just keeps you organized. I don't have a day-to-day manager. I don't have enough going on right now that I needed one. But I've worked with publicists. Now, a publicist is different in that they get you publicity. So whether it's good or bad, if something happens where they say, hey, we've got a radio tour, so I'm going to do 20 radio call-ins, and they set that schedule up, and I'm promoting something. So anytime you're promoting an event or an appearance or a show or anything, the publicist handles all the media.
Right. And those are all separate expenses.
Yes, they all. Yeah, a manager, an agent, and a publicist all come. It's all additional money that you pay, that I pay for. But you have to weigh where's the value.
Yeah.
If you're getting on the cover of, People magazine, as
that's huge.
Sexiest man in country music, Tim McGraw, he pays a publicist to make those calls because they have the contacts, or get yourself booked on Jay Leno. I mean, your publicist has to do that. I mean, they're not calling. Your publicist is calling and saying, hey, Tim McGraw has a new album coming out, and he and Faith Hill are celebrating 25 years of marriage, and they all the things that they could talk about, and then Jay Leno decides, all right, yeah, that sounds like a good guest.
Right.
That's how that happens.
Yeah, those pieces are necessary, especially if there's so much going on and you're so busy. It's huge to have those guys. Quick question on interviewing celebrities. How did you feel the first time you had a big-time celebrity that you were interviewing?
And I've interviewed, like I mentioned, Angelina Jolie. Now, she was a little different because you can't help but just kind of go,
yeah.
I mean, she was that beautiful. But,
wow.
I've never really cared who was sitting in front of me. I've interviewed, city council members, and I've interviewed Robin Williams and Steven Tyler, and I just treat them like normal people, and I think they appreciate that because they are just normal people.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I typically would ask for a photo with them afterwards because it's kind of cool to show your grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I never really, get starstruck or freak out. It really. I just, like, you're asking me questions. It's this casual for me.
Yeah.
I never really let it affect me. Now there were some interviews where just me personally, I was a fan of their work more than I was someone else's, and I never let that show.
Right.
I just, on the inside, I had a little bit more fun with it because it was kind of exciting for me because I'm a fan of Robin Williams, or I'm a fan of, Ben Kingsley, whoever, so, I mean, it really never got to me, and I think that's why I've had some success.
Right.
When I sit down in front of a star, I think they get that, this guy's just a guy's guy, a normal dude. He grew up in Pittsburgh, and he's not going to be a, kind of a hustler. He just, hey, what's up, man? How are you? See ya. Let's talk about this movie. Very casual. And
you need that approach too after the interview or before and after the interview, right? So it's not like you need that type of approach before and after the interview when the cameras are off. So
that's very important. Anytime I would interview someone, I always would try to break the ice with something before the interview started to kind of let them know, hey, this is going to be a cool interview. I'm not going to ask you about your divorce. I'm not going to, it's not really my approach. I've never really been one to kind of like the Perez Hilton or the the controversial questions. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was asked, for extra, I was on the CMT red carpet and had to interview Justin Bieber, and because he did a collaboration with Rascal Flatts, who's country, and they came up the red carpet, and my producers for extra asked me to ask Justin Bieber about some photos that were taken of him and his girlfriend Selena Gomez in Hawaii.
Oh.
And I knew that asking that was going to get me off track, and he wasn't going to love it. But when it's for a national organization or outlet like Extra, and your producers ask you, "Hey, we want you to get this answer," you kind of have a job to do.
Yeah.
So I asked it in a soft, lighthearted kind of way, and he didn't appreciate it, and I instantly backed off. Where I could have just kind of stuck my claws into him and said, "No, I'm not going to let you off the hook. You're 16 years old. I can manhandle you."
Yeah.
But I could see it on his face that he didn't like it. It didn't make me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I've never been a big fan of those situations when I'm forced to ask those uncomfortable questions. But sometimes it has to be done.
Yeah. And I guess that's information a lot of people are looking for. So. Yeah, I gotta give people what they want.
Yeah.
What are your plans with? And we'll end off here with Music City 101. I like the way it's moving. I like how you're shooting it and how you're writing it. What are your plans in the future? Do you see selling it off to a bigger organization, or do you see that as another way to land you bigger? So is it just like a trampoline platform?
Yeah, well, the thing is, and if you want to check it out, it's musiccity411.net, by the way. It's really something I just started doing on my own. I brought in another guy to shoot and edit, and we're just kind of trying to put one up every week, every episode a week or 10 days, and now I'm going to start incorporating writing some reviews and news stories and things like that. It is something that I'm interested in capitalizing on, because I think there's a market there as far as maybe selling some ad space on the site, and also some sponsorships, maybe running some short little ads at the beginning of an episode. And funny enough, just last week, I got a call from the CMC Network, which is Country Music Channel in Australia. They called me, and we are now in negotiations to. They want to service 40 episodes of upcoming episodes for next year.
Wow!
So it actually kind of came full circle, or maybe I may make some money on it, or at least service it out, and it'll be airing in Australia. And then if that picks up steam, then I can say, hey, it's airing in Australia. Maybe I'll air it in China. Maybe I'll air it you know, and if one of the CMT or GAC, one of the country networks, would be interested in taking it on, it would be something that I'd say, I don't know, you know, it's mine. It's kind of my baby. I created it. It's, why would I just, you know, sell out and just give it up? But you never know. I'm open, you know, to any and all negotiations. Anything's negotiable. But for the time being, I think I'm just going to continue doing it. It's picking up steam. I think the artists have heard about it, and now they're interested. You know, right behind me is my living room and my couch, and that's where we have artists come into my house and they perform on my couch. So that's kind of one of the cool little things about it, and I don't think you could continue that if I gave it to a bigger network. And I think you can attest to this, that web programming, webisodes, if you will, Twitter, Facebook is without a doubt the way of the future. Now I'm going to continue to host television shows because I think you're always going to have people laying on their couch watching TV. But I think people's schedules are so busy that if they can sit down at their laptop and watch a 5-minute episode and get news or get their, you know, their country music fix or their landscaping information or whatever it is they need, web programming is definitely lucrative, and it's the way of the future.
I really like how your show moves. The music is good, how it's edited is great. You know, like I said, the writing is good, and you're on it, so you're doing a stellar job. So I definitely think it's you have somewhere to go with it. I anticipate it to blow up pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I need your help, man, to get my Twitter following up. And my Facebook page going. I mean, I'm an expert at that. So once we finish this interview, I might bring you on, and I need you to triple my Twitter followers. If you do that.
Yeah, in my sleep, man. Well, good. Thanks again, man. This has been great. I really appreciate the backdoor, you know, entertainment industry, the character type of things that people need to have, because I think it's applicable to everybody, every business. Especially for aspiring young entertainers. Being likable, having those traits, not burning bridges is major. So I appreciate that information. That's good insight.
Yeah, well, I hope it helps. If there's some people watching this and they're interested in getting into TV or film or music, I think hopefully I gave you some information that kind of covers all genres, and that it could help someone out. So I appreciate you having me on, and it was my pleasure.
Yeah, where can they connect with your Facebook, your Twitter, and the...
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Shane Tallant, and it's ShaneTallant. And of course, you can find me on Facebook as well. But I have a website that it's all there. You can watch some of my demo reels. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and that's ShaneTallant.com. And of course, if you want to check out Music City 411, that's Music City 411, the numbers 411.net.
And that's on Facebook too.
Yeah, you can find it on Facebook as well. So it's all kind of linked together, but I guess the easiest way is probably just ShaneTallant.com, and that can kind of send you everywhere you want to go.
Yeah, perfect. Alrighty, man. Thanks again, dude. Appreciate it.
All right, Rob. Thanks so much.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Okay, take care. Bye.